Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out of appreciation to Abraham Mohammed, Adam, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Blue Ridge Ranger, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Chow Young Cat, Dank, Dave Rakia Gaffer, David Robinson, David Wayne Foster, Daz Studio 68, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin, Henrik 86, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life Is Short, Maria Neelands, Matt, Missouri Bear, Nagara, Nathan Thompson, Naibai, Rob H, Skeptic 936, Steve ALM, Texas Mike, The Real Gabster, Tina Baker, Tom Herkins, The Unbelievable Productions, and Windrider. So a massive shout out of thanks to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a few people in Discord and G+, so I'll raise the mic on them and you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Normalcy. Oh, goodness.
Like, what is normalcy to a billionaire?
Yeah, he says, and he wants to push vaccines, and that if his kids are vaccinated, I think that's hilarious. Double standard there, hypocrite, it sounds like to me.
Well, they want you got I think the governor of Michigan, I saw, forbids you to buy paint and planting seeds and American flags. When you go to the hardware store, you can't buy any seeds or paint or American flag. I mean, this is so stupid.
Where was it at again? Where was it at?
That's a governor of Michigan, I think. Anyway, a couple of governors have said you can't buy these things. Like, really? You're telling people to stay at home? It's stupid. I mean, I mean, that person's not going to win re-election. All you got to do is run this story.
You tell people to stay home. You can't get out to get stuff. You can't get groceries. And then you say you can't buy seeds so you can take care of yourself. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah,
I mean, you got a backyard, but you can't go put seeds there. It's the dumbest thing. It's not even the good seeds. It's the hybrid seeds. You can't even buy those. I'll tell you one thing. If I had any aspirations of running for political office, I'd be picking some of these stories, archiving them, and running them as my ads against the next election.
Yeah.
That's all you don't even have to say anything.
Just let them speak for themselves.
Yeah, like this is who you had, this is how they acted during a crisis. Vote for me, I won't. That's all you gotta say.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's one good benefit is I'm noticing, like, hey, hang on, Lily. I'm noticing, like, the normal people that I see on Facebook that are normally not questioning much are questioning a lot now. So
yeah,
this could be one of the tipping points for people to start waking up more. You know, hang on, Lily.
Well,
I think
you're right. I think you're right. My wife told me last night that 2 or 3 people that she knows, three people she knows, all family members who would not even listen to this stuff are now listening, following, and now they're commenting why the other family members aren't listening when a week ago they weren't listening.
That's funny. That's hilarious. That's funny. We're not so crazy after all, folks. I said the conspiracy people are there. I had an article that they said that the conspiracy people are probably more sane than some of the regular people. I was like, this is probably true.
Yeah, next conversation, Flat Earth.
Yeah, I know. You really want to go down this road? Let's see how this show you how really deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, never be the same.
Yeah. I'm honestly, well, I don't want to I'm not going to say anything. Like, we could talk personally later on the phone.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, this whole thing's crazy. It's just. I'm like, I just shake my head now. But I'm like,
I
this
mean,
people just gone off the deep end.
it's almost too convenient to have all these quotes of Kissinger and Bill Gates come up. I mean, it's like, here's some more ammo to get the New World Order. We'll just give it to you. I mean, it's like, it's too easy. It's like they want to see this, whoever they are. It's like, did they anticipate the internet, the chat rooms, the people like us talking, or are they just watching to see how fast someone will spread? But at the same time, these people actually said these things, and they're saying it live on TV now. So it's weird.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I don't know. Yes, I think, was it you said that, or was it you said, or somebody? Oh, maybe another friend of mine said. Maybe I heard you say it. I don't remember. Everything's been so crazy lately. I've lost track of where things are at. I'm working online. I'm working more, making less now than I was before this whole thing started. But at least I'm working. So it's just funny.
Don't worry, I got good news for you. The Pope is pushing universal income, which has been the hot topic lately.
Okay, my first question to him when you talk about universal wage, who's paying for it? Who pays for it? Who pays for it?
That's all. That's always the question, isn't it?
Yeah. So you got to have somebody working to pay for that. You got to have taxes to draw the money from. So who's paying for it?
Well, when you get rid of the middle class and all you got is two classes, rich and poor, elites and non-elites, they'll find a way to depopulate so that they're not paying for everybody, right? I mean, that's their whole plan
Yeah.
anyway. It sounds great on the surface, universal income. We're in the era of technology, robots will work, and everyone will have a steady base income, and you can enjoy more of life. But you got to agree to these rules. Bam, 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 bam. Right? All this stuff. Who knows?
Yeah.
It's not going to work because, like you said, who's going to pay for it? And she's
All the
screaming mad
money.
about it. She wants more money. Her checks are too small.
Exactly. Yeah, she's just excited. She's watching. We've been watching way too much TV because of
Oh,
being
turn
cooped
that
up.
thing off. I haven't even watched one. I can't even watch TV. I mean, first of all, I don't have it, but the internet version of TV I can't ever watch.
Well,
I actually have an antenna system I could turn on any time because they do antennas for free. The programming
yeah,
on the airwaves.
local channel. Yeah.
Yeah, so I get HD channels for free over just some rabbit ears.
I mean,
But
we actually watch. Well, most of the time we're watching kids stuff anymore, and then my wife will tune in for the daily briefing from the White House. What, Lily? What? I gotta make. Okay, I'm making the sausage. It's just gonna take a minute. You love the
so,
sausage.
speaking of your daily briefing, how come they're not 6 feet apart and wearing masks?
Oh yeah, I know. I think that's hilarious.
It's
When my wife was the first day of the briefing when they started posting it, it's like, oh, hold on. This is the sausage. I'm making it. You got to give me a minute to make it.
It's not fair for you to make sausage while I am not running my cooking show, Paul. This is embarrassing.
Oh, you're funny.
Hey, Righteous.
Hey.
Can you pop yourself on mute now, Paul? Because it's horrendous.
What's that?
Can you, just while you're not chatting, if you can pop yourself on mute, because your background noise is horrendous. But I appreciate there was nothing I could do during that conversation about your background noise because you're talking.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I'll mute. I'll just
It's okay. It's okay.
To say.
As I say, it was a choice between no conversation or conversation with background noise, and I'm like, what the hell?
And so much for your dulcet tones.
Yeah, exactly.
Sausage sizzling in the background. Oh, now it went all quiet. You ruined the party.
Well, Righteous is here now.
I'm only kidding.
Good
That was
morning.
funny. It just went so silent. Good morning, Neil.
It's funny. I don't talk very much. I'm talking, and Nathan's saying, "Shut up, Paul."
No. That's not true.
He's joking, man. It's too funny. What's new, Neil? Give us an update from the East Coast.
Same old, same old.
Same old, same old. Boy, that said a lot.
It's getting frustrating. I'm really starting to get a little stressed out.
Yeah? About what?
About the whole thing, not knowing what's going on. You know, I don't mind being home with my family. I always enjoy that. But, you know.
Well, I think I'm seeing the signs of people protesting and defying the orders. And it's this being cooped up is taking its toll across the country, I think. So soon it's going to break either way.
I think that's what they have in mind. If I was thinking about that, they want people to get all cooped up and just go crazy.
Yeah, maybe.
Just wondering about certain things. I was reading Matthew chapter 24 over again because I don't know. A lot of people have different beliefs about what's going to happen if there is we'll use the word rapture, when it's going to happen, if it's going to happen. Some people believe we're going to go through the Great Tribulation. I was always under the understanding that the church, the body of Christ, the bride is not going to be here for that. So, I don't know. I'm just doing some restudying.
Well, there's going to be a rapture according to the Bible. Whether it's pre, mid, or post, it remains to be seen, right?
I'll tell you this: I'm a
But if you read
pan-tribulationist.
24,
It's all going to
Jesus
pan
is
out
really
in the end.
clear on it.
Did you hear Paul? He's cooking. He's a pan-tribulationist.
Yeah, it's all going to pan out in the end.
I'd say you got a good
You
handle on
cannot
it,
beat the
Paul.
king upon. 10th man is the king of pun. No
Oh,
doubt about it.
yesterday's show in chat, the rebroadcast, we were
You and
pandemic.
Rakia.
Rakia, yeah, he
I
was
was
going, man.
keeping
We were
score.
just going crazy.
I know, I was keeping score.
Oh, you were keeping.
On
That's right.
chat,
I remember now.
on chat, I'm Sarita.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
How many names do you
I
got?
don't know how to
I got
change.
2, 10th and 11th.
Yeah. You won that battle yesterday. You put up a good fight, though.
Well, no, that wasn't a battle. That was fun.
Yeah. A good
Should I
fun
say
battle.
pandemic with pandemic? He's going to cook some steaks last night. He said, "Can't wait to see him."
Good day, 10th man.
Good day. Is this Red Man?
Yes, sir.
How are you?
At home, enjoying, time off.
Nice. You gonna be doing any ribs soon? I hope.
Last time I went to the grocery store, ribs was what was it, $35 for 3 slabs. I was like, I gotta hold off on that.
Well, they're raising the price, huh?
Yeah, you can't find them in the stores, and when you find them, they are way overpriced.
Interesting.
That beef ribs?
Yes, sir.
Mm.
Well, I might go to the store today. I'll see what they are. I don't buy too much meat outside of what I already have in my freezers, but I'll check it. See what they are
You
here.
check. If you got it, you send it.
I'll freeze dry airmail it next day to you. How's that? You're in Georgia, right?
Georgia. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you and chocolate are in the same state.
Yeah, once a lot of this stuff blows over, hopefully I can get up with chocolate. I told him I'll cook some ribs for him.
Oh, that's great.
Have as Nathan said the other day, a earther party.
Oh, I see. Okay, good. Earther, I remember that.
Yeah.
Here, you're not delivering anymore.
No, I work Monday, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Is that a new schedule, or is that always your schedule?
No, I normally work Monday through Saturday, but with this time off, Tuesday through Thursday, I can just do some work around the house. It's cool.
Now, why do you have time off? Are they cutting back on deliveries, or do they spread the time out to different drivers?
No, I do a lot of deliveries to a lot of restaurants in Atlanta. So what they do is, with schools being out, that's our major customer. So a lot of that stuff is cut out. So my work is spread out between a lot of drivers.
So with school not there and restaurants mostly closed except takeout ones, you're not delivering. Makes sense?
10-4.
Yes, like they want to
Maybe I
shut
should-
down our small businesses, huh?
A lot of the small business, they're all shut down. If they're open, they are doing just takeouts.
Yeah, that's the underlying factor. A lot of small business in our town are shut down, will never recover. The destroying of, 80% of the country is small businesses, something like that, I remember. And now, if you decimate that, you create a new class of poor.
That is true.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you're currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, Paul Hall, 10th Man, Chocolate Sane, and a whole bunch of people in Discord, so welcome one and all.
Good morning.
Hello.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Heard people in the pre-show sharing their corona lockdown stresses and tribulations.
And recipes.
And recipes about ribs.
That doesn't seem to be, there's not much suffering there.
Not to like some Corona ribs to pass the time.
I mean, I've got ribs recipes. I just tend to keep them close to my chest.
Nice.
Any signs of a physical Earth curve, Edge?
Not from Laughlin.
Anybody?
Paulus gave that up.
They're giving up proving Earth curve, have they?
Yeah.
I like it.
We don't have a geometric horizon, apparently. So,
Gotta exhale.
yeah.
We do not have a geometric horizon. Except in the geometric calculation where it's claimed to be obscuring things in the distance, and they can calculate that with exact numbers, feet and inches, perspective exclusive, of course. Moving on, any signs of axial rotation? Axial rotation.
No.
No? Anybody got any proof that Earth is spinning? It's definitely claimed to be spinning.
Come on, nobody got some hurricanes for us? Hurricane winds going straight? Nobody?
Now that's a good question you just said there, because I remember saying that last week to a couple of people I know when I brought it up. I said, "Look outside, is the Earth spinning?" They looked at me, "No." And I go, "Then why do you believe when they say it is?" And then they just had a blank stare.
Any scientific evidence of gravity? They do like to argue about that. Someone's got to have something in that regard. Come on. Anthony Riley's keeping himself
They don't
scarce.
really like to argue about gravity much, though. Now they try to use other words like weight. You know, they try to say gas has weight. So that's what's keeping it here. I mean, a lot of them don't like to even say gravity. We got other people who say the force of down. Like, I mean, I don't know. Almost like they've kind of thrown it to the wayside, but not really.
They need it but don't want to say it because they know it'll get pummeled.
Yeah, that.
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
All they have is the first step of the scientific method, which is observation of something. After that, it becomes pseudo-pop science.
There are no hypotheses from any of those fields then?
Nope. Been waiting. Ask Dr. Becky. I'm still waiting. I'm not going to hound her each time. She's got the message several times, and other people have gone there and asked for the same thing, but still no response.
Yeah, she doesn't get it. She's still putting the word science when describing thought experiments about capturing the moon. She clearly has no idea what science actually is. She thinks sitting at a desk and doing computer work and busy work is science. She's just wrong.
Yeah, I think the excuse for all of my chat will be said to be lost in the black hole somewhere of the internet.
Removed. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Where's Arvin?
Same.
He's probably still doing his show. He probably runs over. He's got a lot to say at the moment.
All right, I'll take over for Arvin. It's over there.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Nope.
Any evidence?
I mean, it's almost actual distance?
Almost
That's
actual
what I heard.
position. That was great. I love those little moments. We had a guy on yesterday that said that he asked us a question in regards to a model. I can't even remember the question because as soon as he started asking us about where the position of the sun is and what it's doing, I'm just waiting for him to end so his whole claim can't be claimed to be rumpused or whatever. So once he's made his claim, it's like, well, what are you actually asking us for? This not actual position? He's like, yeah, it's not actual. It's like, well, who cares then? Well, it's almost actual. It's like, what? Violate that law of non-contradiction. Good morning, Arwin. Speak of the devil.
I'm not the devil. But
Right,
good
that's
morning.
just a turn of phrase.
As far as I know.
Arwen.
What's up?
Sky. What's up with you?
It's almost Arvin.
Almost. It's almost a real Arwin.
Almost actual. I know. One day they will figure it out how to make it actual.
It's an apparent Arwin.
What?
It's an apparent Arwin. Not an actual
apparent?
Arwin, just an apparent Arwin.
No, I'm pretty sure I am actual.
Not for me.
No, you're refracting.
You're definitely refracted from where I'm sat. You're definitely not geometric. Moving on. And any evidence of the R value? Arwin.
R. No.
Arr.
Well, wouldn't they need a physical geometric horizon if to prove an R value?
Yeah. Well, the physical geometric horizon is based on the R value. It gives you the horizon. That's what the geometric horizon is. It's claimed to be obscuring things in the distance, and the way you get that physical location that's blocking things according to their perspective omitting calculator, you've got a physical Earth curve obstruction. That would be their edge. Earth curve, they used to call it. Also known as the geometric horizon. Go on, sorry.
I'm sorry. If you can't see Earth curve, and it's a former thing, but it was said to be the geometric horizon, physical Earth curve, and it's no longer there. And they got that by R value, but it's not there. It was always a Jedi mind trick, a thought experiment, and there was never an R value to begin with.
So shout out to Mind Warped, says, how come I was kicked in Discord? Feelings equal hurt. I don't know. I don't actually run the Discord server. I can't answer those questions, Mind Warped. It's not my server. So I would only imagine that you got kicked either by accident or you broke a rule, maybe. Well, I'm not saying you have, but I don't know. It's not my server.
Mind Warped can get a little rude every now and then.
Is that so? Mind Warped says she's got a channel as well. She's subscribed to Mind Warped. I would say click on the 3 buttons, but they've taken that facility away for some reason. I don't know why. But Mind Warped does make videos. Type him into the search bar. What I'd normally do is I would do that, to make it easier on the audience. I'd click on the 3 buttons, go to his channel, go and find a video, click on share, get the link, and then put it in the chat. But I can't do that now, and obviously running a live show, I can't now go away to a separate tab and search for Mind Warped. So there's no easy way of just going to him as a viewer that's like literally giving me money and saying, hey, actually this guy giving me money right now, he's got a channel, you should go and check him out. Because obviously he's not going to be recommended to you. Heaven forbid. If he was making videos about bloody pottery, he might be recommended to you. But you know what I mean? I can't click on the 3 dots myself and actually just go to his channel for the audience like right now. That isn't a possibility anymore. Obviously, Ute and I were chatting about this because Ute's first to notice these sorts of things, as am I. Fairly familiar with YouTube.
It's worse than just that, Nathan. Because besides not being able to check out channels as easily, you also cannot fully check if somebody in chat is actually who they say they are. There's no way to check now, to go to the channel and see if they're actually that person. See?
I see. So what
terrible.
you're saying is it gives people the ability to go onto a channel as me, and then nobody could double check if it was actually me or not. So in times gone by, we'd just click and say, oh no, 0 subscribers, clearly not that account, a fake version of that account, or sock.
Yep.
No, you're right.
Unless you've already given them a wrench, because then you could compare it to that. It's like, oh, he doesn't have a wrench. Well, then he's definitely not the real one. But you have to have given it to them before that. Very tough now.
Righteous is earwigging this, by the way. Mind Warped. Righteous knows everything about the Discord server, and I'm sure he's earwigging this conversation and figuring out what's what. Maybe speak to him or Betty. She's the server owner. Anyway, moving on. Where were we in the...
Well, I was going to say something about that. Mind Warp, don't talk about pottery and you won't get kicked out of Discord.
Don't talk about what?
Pottery. Clay dishes.
Plate dishes?
Plate dishes. You said...
pottery. Oh, it was you spinning off my joke. Okay. Right. Stick to flat earth, you should be fine.
Still don't get it.
It's fine. Moving on. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Nope.
The body of science?
That's been changed to the whole body of human knowledge, by the way. Really?
See, look in chat. There's a fake sleeping warrior. See?
There's what?
There's a fake sleeping warrior in chat.
How'd you know it's fake?
There's no way to check.
How'd you know it's fake? Oh, he hasn't got a wrench. And he would have a wrench, wouldn't he? I think he's got a wrench on this channel.
No. Does he have a wrench on your main?
I think so.
Nobody has a wrench,
One of the few people I actually trust to mod my main channel.
But Sleeping Warrior would never say it like that. If he'd had criticism, he'd say that. He would never say something like that. It's so typical of him, so... Pretty sure it's not him.
So suddenly we've got a sock problem again. Right, I see. Interesting. So, molten iron core, presupposed spherical Earth, centre thereof. Anybody?
Got several problems with that. Number one, how would they know? Second, if this ties into gravity, if past the curing point. So, no, it's all made up.
Last, but by no means least, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten... No, what are we on? Any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
There's no way to even check that. The only way that could work is if you presuppose it and overlook the natural consequence.
It's a claim that can't be backed by any proof of any kind. They just make it up.
That's another way of saying it. Yep.
Cool. That concludes the housekeeping. It was a fake sleeping warrior.
Alright, found out what happened to Mind Warped. He just got booted by a bot.
A bot?
Posting referral links, so it was automated. But he's all good now.
Really? I didn't know that could happen.
Yeah, it happens sometimes.
There's
Don't
robots
mention
kicking
Prodigy.
people out the Discord server. What has the world come to?
How does that work?
It's a robot, Arwin. There's no reasoning with it. There's no rationalizing with it. And it absolutely will not stop.
That's correct, but it still has to be programmed to do that. So, is it like, is that like an out? That's internal workings, right? That's just a bot of the server. So, how does it do that?
I don't know. I have no idea. It's the first time I've heard of this. Go ahead, Righteous, if you want to fill us in. I don't mind.
Xerxes is a programmer. I wash my hands of this. So I don't know what she did. She's got it set up for specific ways, I guess.
Whoever bought that excuse is a fool.
Well, maybe Mind Warp was spamming, and that's what made it ban.
Chocolate, was I roboting there?
Let's just all guess.
Just stop.
Where are the ballers, Nathan? They're gone. After Geometric Horizon, they all left.
Yeah, that's okay by me. Occasionally we get
Maybe
dudes
maybe they're at the funeral.
What's that about funerals?
They're at the funeral.
They're at the funeral for the geometric horizon that they've never seen. Can never have claim to see or measure.
But come on, guys. Maybe the geometric horizon is just almost visible.
They've lost their curve, Armin.
Hey, Mind Warped. Mind Warp 5000. No, didn't work. He's obviously having issues as well. Subscribe today, Mind Warped. You'll have to look him up. Because I can't give you a link.
The best advertising he's ever got.
Nah, I've plugged Mind Warped.
Okay, Mazar Salim says in chat that he got kicked because he was all caps talking. That's a good enough reason.
Let's just all have another guess. We'll have to ask Betty. She's the only one who knows.
All right.
Thanks, Good Servant, for the super chat. I think Good Servant's got a channel as well. I can't remember if I've checked it out or not, but I will be. So check out Good Servant as well. He often mentions that his channel's doing well, so I can only assume that's the case.
Dank has offered an alternative theory. I was not even going to go there. Anyway. What's up on the menu?
Hold on, go on. Dank's offered a theory. Oh God, this is going to be about why Mind Warp's been blocked, not about the nature of reality or the situation
Yes.
in regards to our channels and their limited audiences. One thing I have noticed, I'll tell you something funny thing, right? I know typically, right, this show would have reached 300 people because I keep a very close eye on it, and it's about half what it was. So it's about what we are now, 162 people watching, so considerably less. But the people the show is reaching are like the most dedicated of the audience members. So if you look as the people scroll by in chat, those are the people who are the most dedicated to the show. So you don't get as many tertiary viewers. Now obviously that's strictly not the right description because it's not even tertiary when there's subscribers that aren't reaching your, that aren't getting your material either. But that nonetheless, the people who are getting it are the people who do actually genuinely want to watch it, and they get to find out when it goes on. And you just think, okay, so what's happening? Albeit I can't fully explain how, in terms of algorithmically what's occurring. There's no simple, well, it's just I'm not going out live. I am going out live. Well, you're just not reaching your subscribers. Well, I do reach a certain number of subscribers. Obviously, there's an audience here. It's going up, 174. Thank you to all who shared. And thanks for the super chat, Light Energy. Really appreciate it. Maybe Light Energy, subscribe to her. She definitely makes music.
Yes, she does.
Anyway, I can't put my finger on it. I've tried to get to the bottom of that rabbit hole of what's going on, and I can't get to the bottom of it. I can't figure out how it is the case, because there's a seeming shortage of YouTube videos and a seeming abundance of viewers, right? There's a disconnect there. When I get recommended stuff that I've watched before, I'm like, bloody hell, there's how many million YouTube videos updated every single day, or uploaded every single day, and I'm getting, suggested repeats that I've already watched. You get halfway through a video and go, I've already watched this. Why am I being recommended this at the top of my homepage? And then you see a trickle of people's subscribed videos coming through, very few live, if any. And you're like, this makes no sense. Anyway, I was watching a channel called Thrice 8 Hermes. I've recommended him once before on this channel. He was recommended to me by John LeBon. Anywho, he was describing various different philosophical aspects in terms of the current situation. And one of the things that caught my attention that I hadn't really given much thought or consideration to was the element of boredom. Now, this is quite a key programming tool. And as soon as he said it, obviously I'm aware of what boredom is. But I'm like, that's something I've never looked into. How would it be that boredom is useful as a tool? Now, I can speculate and I can sort of logically work my way through how it might be useful. But I've not done any research into it. And I'm like, okay, this guy's saying it's a very key element to the paradigm that they use to mentally enslave us, if you will. But he was saying, boredom's a key issue, and that's the thing I've been moaning about. I'm like, why is it that I've got a massive audience and yet I'm bored with the material that I'm getting? That's really strange, isn't it? Shouldn't there be loads of videos? And then I just thought it applied to me only. And then I hear someone like Hoovy's Garage, just a car guy, saying, I'm getting less and less views. And you're like, but that makes no sense. When you're putting a video out, because you've put less material out, I'm uber keen to watch it. And you'd think that would just translate to lots of other people in the same boat. They've watched everything on Netflix. They've watched everything on YouTube. Now, it's time to watch it twice when there's a new video out that's not reaching anybody. So there's a seeming shortage of material, even though there's a massive upturn in the amount of people actually putting stuff out, because they're all sat at home with nothing to do. So they're figuring ways of making material. People like John LeBon, he's commenting on the fact that he's been uber productive on YouTube. He's made something like 20 videos. Because what else is he going to do with his time? Same here, right? I can edit away videos. Actually, I haven't changed my routine that much, but for the fact that my video view count dropped. And I'm like, gotta do something. Get some trimmed clips out. Work harder. And then earlier on the pre-show, Paul was saying, well, I'm working harder too, and I'm developing less from it. And you're like, wow, this is all sounding all too familiar. What a weird coincidence, right? Well, if you're a coincidence theorist. But for me, there's got to be a reason for the disconnect between a lack of material when there's nothing but people who are potential YouTubers churning out more content. But there we go. We won't figure it out. But boredom is obviously a key issue here. They want people to be bored. Don't know why, but I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to at least look into it. But at least take a channel recommendation away from that little rant. Thrice 8 Hermes. Not a particularly big YouTuber. Probably a couple of hundred maybe subscribers. There you go. Check him out.
Oh.
Well,
hey, Mind Warped.
When that?
Hey, I'm not 7 muted.
Yeah, we've got you now. We can hear you.
Hey.
Yeah, I think it sounds like the robots removed you, mate. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I've run two screens, and I was writing a letter on the other screen and accidentally left caps lock on, and the bot got me for caps lock, and then I think I was having a debate before and got a bit heated. So yeah, there's a bit of the two, and I got booted.
You get booted for all caps. I like it. Don't shout in this Discord server.
Yeah, the bot was the final straw. Kicked me.
It is very quiet.
Thanks for the shout out. Anyway, that was a beauty.
Why is it so quiet? Makes no sense. Be in abundance. We should have an overflowing Discord server. You know, before all this happened, we were fighting to keep spaces on the panel, right? At one stage, Anthony Riley was, kicking people out and saying, "Look, if you're not going to talk, sod off, because there's not enough gaps." And then, we wait for a fundy to join so we can demolish him and his globe religion. Well, that isn't happening. You're like, well, why isn't it happening when there should be twice as many people watching because there's twice as many available viewers? So,
You think, everyone's at home. Strange.
It is strange, isn't it? Why are people being in a position where they can get bored? Especially with YouTube, the amount of content on there. I should never watch the same video
This
twice.
is how bored I am. I'm literally programming a little ESP 32 board that's going to go on the bottom of my Mavic Pro drone, and it's going to run a server so I can lift up small packages and drop them.
Oh, cool.
So it's going to run a little servo with a little arm that opens and shuts. I don't know, for no reason. I'm just bored.
Fast forward 20 years and it's Mind Warp versus DHL and the drone wars of the sky with package delivery. Hey, Flatside, good to have you. Long time.
Yeah. I can use it to drop things to my neighbours, like food or something.
So, social distancing drone by
pretty full on
Mind
lockdown over here.
One sec, Mind Warped. Hey, Flatside, good to have you. No sound, amigo.
Ooh. How was the trip?
I don't think we've got any sound from him. Maybe try again, drop and rejoin, Flatside.
I haven't heard Flatside for ages.
I
I haven't actually been on the show for ages, so missed you all.
He just moved
Well, he
before all
moved.
this kicked off, so I assume he's been really busy.
Oh, he moved house.
Yeah, I moved to a larger city, got a better paying job, and just been in the process, I think.
Okay. Okay.
So yeah, why has it gone quiet? That
Are you guys?
before we got onto these.
Are you guys talking about the thing that we're not meant to talk about, or
talk about
was that being?
as long as
Do you
it's-
get like demonetized and shut down if you talk about the?
I don't think that's
that
the case.
word?
No, I don't think so. I think if you pump out a load of disinformation, you might get your channel shut down. But I don't know. Typically here we don't deal with that sort of nonsense. We've discussed people's opinions about their current situation. I don't think that's unreasonable. And obviously, people are going to speculate in some form or another.
Yeah, I just. Are you guys in lockdown over there?
Yeah. Very few places that aren't in the Western
I'm in
world.
WA. We're actually full lockdown. Like WA is locked. The borders are shut down into states, so no one from over east can come over. And then we've got like regions in WA. So you've got like the Gascoyne, the Pilbara, and then you've got the southwest, the Wheat Belt. They're all these areas quite large, but they're all border locked as well. So if you're in the metro area, you can't go out of there. Like you actually have to stay in your city. You can't leave your city.
Doesn't that sound interesting, Mind Warp, that this virus is 98.54% recovery rate if you catch it, to lock down countries and counties for something that almost 99% of people will recover naturally.
Interesting.
Odd,
I find it hard to work it out. Yeah, I have questions about it. It doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure most people would do. It doesn't really seem to add up. I mean, yeah, it's I believe it's real and everything like that, but I don't know. Yeah, what to think of it really.
Do a quick couple of shout outs. Shout out to Cleary, who says, "You are like Mike Tyson. Nobody wants to fight you." Yeah, there's always people that want to step up if there's enough people around. But thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Also, Guns of Navarone RMP says, "Just because you rock." Well, thank you very much for giving me money. I really do appreciate it. Thank you both of you for the super chats. Really appreciate your support.
Someone was trying.
Flat Soy, were you trying to speak?
Yeah, someone was trying to speak.
I think Flat Soy came back in, was trying to talk.
I heard a lot of
He
mumbling.
speaks. Do you think it's possible that it's just they've got so many people in this like fear panic mode that they can't turn away from it? Like mainstream people that they're stuck on the mainstream media and hoping to, turn on the news and find out when this corona nonsense is going to be done. I feel like people are just stuck. It's like, even if they want to come talk about flat earth or hear about it, they think, oh, maybe it's not as important right now because all this craziness is going on in the world,
Well,
Instead of
what
just-
I've really been noticing is just like the media is really playing like two sides. Like it's almost like they're intentionally confusing people so they don't know what to believe. That's my look at it. Like a lot of the main. Yeah, I can hear whoever that is.
Go, Elijah. Did you want to say something?
I was just checking it if I was serving muted. Sorry, guys.
No, we can hear. Yeah, I was just saying. Like it's just classic. Like this is just in my opinion. Like I just you look at like mind warfare and stuff like that, and it's just kind of it's like the media is playing both sides really, so people just don't know what to think and just to confuse people. And I don't know. I don't really know what to think. It's quite strange. It's a strange time.
Well, it's crazy when you see on one side, there are doctors that'll come out and say, "Where are the bodies?" Like this is not going down the way it's supposed to be. Hospitals are empty. What the hell is going on? And then you'll turn on another video and it's a doctor saying, "Oh, like the hospitals are overcrowded. It's crazy. I've never seen it like this. I just saw a nurse saying that shit the other day." I'm like, but for the past week, I've seen doctors and nurses saying, "Where's everybody?" It's like, what the hell? So it's like, how do you discern?
You've got to really read into what they're saying, because when these deaths happen, right? If someone's been tested for coronavirus and they test positive and they die, even if it's not coronavirus that they die from, they're recorded as a coronavirus statistic. So like when they say like this person died, they're like, oh, this person was recently diagnosed with coronavirus and passed away, but they don't say of coronavirus. Like it's almost like, anyone that's got it that dies, even if coronavirus didn't kill them, they could have just been anything. They're a statistic. A classic example was here in Australia. There was a lady with Alzheimer's, and she died of like her Alzheimer's. She was in palliative care. It was nothing to do, but she tested positive for coronavirus because it was all through the palliative care unit. But it wasn't that killed her. She had no effects from it. She just died of her Alzheimer's stuff. But she was recorded down as a COVID a statistic, and that kind of just makes me look at it and go, I don't know.
Well, I look at this from because I want to be proactive. So my perspective is that this probably wouldn't be happening if more people knew the truth. Yeah.
Was that I think that was
That was the distorted tones of Flatsoid, I believe. Hey, Flatsoid.
I think it was Flatsoid.
Yeah, next Tuesday.
You got a really bad line.
That's
dude.
right. Space is fake.
Yeah, Flatso, we can't really hear
Flatsoid?
you much, brother.
Well, just while Flatsoid's sorting his mic out, so quick shout out as it's on topic, and I think it's addressed to you, Elijah. So Rakio Life says, "Battle of the puns is real. Pandemic." Shout out to 10th Man. Ballers, share your pain.
Why is it that every time Elijah wants to talk, he never gets to talk lately?
Thank you, 10th. I'm just saying that I found this is a good opportunity to spread the word, the truth. And that is that the earth is flat because there are just certain opportunities that open up, like people who don't wear masks. You can ask them, why don't you wear a mask? And if they're open-minded enough, yeah, you can pull that trigger. You can ask them about flat earth. Why not? Because there's something going on, everybody knows. And what's going on for sure, and I'm going to make this positive claim, is that the media is telling unverifiable information. That's what we know.
I 100% agree with you there. Yeah.
Hold on.
So we
Go
need
ahead.
people to, so we just need that. We need people to realize what verifiable versus unverifiable information is. And I would like to slip in like a serpent, maybe serpent's not the best word, and whisper a little flat earth into their ear. It's easy pickings to these days, guys.
To realize though, like the mainstream media is fear driven. All right. So like, when this comes out and they push the fear porn, like they get more views, so that's, you can't really go by, a lot of what they say. That's just my opinion, but
yeah,
it's kind of hard to find real good, honest journalism in the major mainstream news outlets.
Sure. Hold on. Elijah's point was that he was describing his flat earth evangelism during these troubling times, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. No, but he did talk about I thought it segued into that. So I'm sorry if it didn't.
I can tie it together if you want. I mean, you're saying during a time with overt deception in the news, you're going to have a position where people are slightly more open because they can potentially see that deception. And Elijah's point was that if they're not wearing a mask, maybe they've seen through the deception, and it's worth having a little nibble and saying, hello, do you not believe that you really need to be wearing a mask?
Yeah.
And if they go, yeah, I don't believe any of that old nonsense, and you go, did you know that space, that sky up there, isn't a vacuum? They go, what? They go, well, it's claimed the sky's a vacuum, isn't it? Obviously not. The gas we're breathing would fill that space. Have a nice day.
That's the perfect segue, because like you look at the way this has been portrayed in the media, and then you look at the way flat earth is portrayed in the media. Like you just, whatever narrative they try to push, they'll just push it. So
You mean I'm not a flat earth evangelist? And go on. Sorry, Elijah.
No, I'm saying that's what I've been doing all week. Because there's a Rite Aid next to where I live, and I notice everyone is masked up except for this one hippie-looking young kid, and he works there. And I just, he's always asking me questions because one time we had an interesting encounter. I forget that one, but yesterday I finally asked him, hey, what do you think about the nature of our world, like where we live? And he's like, what do you mean? And I said, you know what? Never mind. I'll see you tomorrow. Because I know I'm going to see him every day. I've been nipping at him.
planted that seed. He planted that seed.
So what's in it for you?
Nathan, can I say something?
Yeah, whoever that was.
Yeah. That was Marcus.
This is Marcus.
Go ahead, Marcus.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys heard Dr. Shiva. He's from the US talking about the current corrupt medical system. Have you heard about him?
Yes, of course.
Dr. Sheila. Is that his?
Shiva.
It's his surname.
Shiva.
Oh, Dr. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Yes.
It's not like Dr. Dave or something, right?
No, this is an actual
So
doctor.
he is
No.
He's an actual
Yeah.
doctor and a really awesome guy. He's
Sure.
like in the Senate in the USA. His parents were originally from India. Very smart guy, very awesome, very free-minded.
Okay,
And he's all over the place. He's a
my
great
bad for
guy.
not knowing Marcus, but
He's-
we're in an arena
He's
where we're
speaking out
surrounded
about
by pretenders that describe themselves as things like Dr. Becky. And when I hear what I think is a Christian name, I just sort of immediately react, right, are we dealing with a pretender clown? But thanks to Arwin, we've got clarity. So do you want to carry on, Marcus? Go ahead with your actual point.
I'm actually following two doctors right now who are very independent in their thinking, and they're against the current system, which is the medical system, which basically is Rockefeller backed education, right? So this Dr. Shiva is actually exposing Fauci. Yeah, so
whoever that is,
he is exposing Fauci, the advisor for Trump, and Bill Gates as well, and the other, deep state players. So just want to share that, guys. As well as, Dr. Kaufman, who has very interesting points, including the difference of how they tested COVID-19. It's really 80% giving false positives. So you guys should look into it.
Well, you know the actual what they actually the swab that they're swabbing for, it's not actually a virus that they're actually picking up. It's actually a protein that is in your lungs that you get when you're sick, and just when you're sick, you tend to have more of this enzyme. So all they're doing when they haven't actually mapped I don't know if I'm going to say it because I don't want to get you struck or anything, Nathan.
Why would you think
because they seem
this
to
is
be
gonna- hold
cracking
on.
down on
Why
it.
are we talking about these?
Number one, yeah, exactly. Number one, why are we talking about it? And number two, why do you think this is going to get me struck? It's just your opinion.
The general oversight is
Okay,
kind of
cool.
good, okay? But why are we talking about the details here? Come on.
Yeah. The COVID.
I tried.
Other channels
hold on.
do that already.
Hold on, everyone, quiet, pipe down just for a sec. So, COVID's real, right? It's a real thing. As in, if you were to assert,
Not saying it isn't. Yeah.
I didn't say you were. I'm just saying it is, and you're getting into the minutiae of how they test for it. Okay, so I don't really get the point.
It's just deep state politics, China versus America. It's the new game. That's what they're all doing now.
It's just fear. All of it is based predominantly around fear. And as long as you're scared about something, I'm not saying you are scared about your channel getting shut down, but there are certain people who are like, oh, gotta watch what I say. It's like, we're in a pandemic, and Corona is the name of the pandemic. So talking about it and having an opinion about it, why would that get your channel shut down? However, if you say...
Didn't get it shut down. I've just been on a couple of live streams where where we've been talking about it. The stream's actually just being cut, and then the video was actually deleted off the YouTube channel, not by them.
Perfect.
So that's why I was just being cautious. Yeah.
So that's much more relevant. That's something I would like to talk about. That would be classified as censorship, in your opinion. But then we have to find out what's being talked about. What was the subject? Why would it get shut down? Was something said that was potentially fear porn or propaganda or misinformation or disinformation? Could it be classed as those things? Was it actually the truth that was being suppressed? We need to know all those things. Those are all interesting and relevant.
And all the topics that have been spoken about were pretty relevant. I
tend to think that it has to do with the title, maybe, or the description, because I watch independent resources that battle the same thing, and all they do is change their titles.
I think that's true. There's a very, very excellent, in fact, transcription service that's now available. I have it permanently turned on when I'm watching anything. So if there's background noise, as there often is here, I can still read the subtitles. And it'll do it. It's good enough to do on certain live shows. Some people get it, some people don't. I don't think I get it. I know Jaren does, though. So Jarenism, if you watch his live show, it's transcribed live. I think that's pretty slick. So therefore, it's just as easy for them to go through the transcription and see what we're saying.
It's cool. I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah, they're literally transcribing live events.
But yeah, so I was gonna say that again, to my earlier point, it's a unique opportunity to speak to people because everyone is scared. Their minds are malleable. And so we know that there's one narrative out there. Why talk about the narrative that's been placed? We should be emptying people's minds of that crap and telling them about flat earth.
Because that's an impossibility, unfortunately. And I'm trying to do it on this very show, aren't I? And I'm still failing. You know, there's reached a point where I've basically said, well, no matter what I try and do or say, this deeply affects everybody. Regardless of what I want to talk about on the show, people are going to want to talk about it, and they are. So I'm not concerned in the slightest that what they talk about is going to get my show shut down. But by the same token, it's like, yeah, I agree with you. I would much prefer to be talking about what I consider to be the biggest deception in mankind's history, which is the very nature of the ground you stood upon. I think that's much, much, much bigger. Claim to be much, much, much older, and also affects absolutely everybody, and half of them aren't even aware of it. Whereas at least at some conscious level, people are aware of this and might even be aware that they're being deceived in some way.
I understand that
100%
point,
agree with
but
you
how
both.
about the very nature of biology? That's a pretty damn big revelation as well, and just the nature of our personal vessel, as it were. I think that is pretty big as well. But yeah, it's that you just touch upon that when you get into the Corona conspiracy.
Hold on. We give the audience that we have, Arwin, on this particular show, and especially on Quantum Eraser's shows, are armed with certain tools to question the validity of things that are labelled as science. There are plenty of pretender clowns in biology. Now, there's also plenty of controlled studies that are disclaimed exactly as such. Now, in this particular instance, if we were Corona Earth debate, then maybe we would be questioning the validity of the scientific evidence and pointing out the statistical analysis and scientific evidence. Now, that isn't what the show is about. It doesn't alter the fact that everybody wants to talk about it because everyone's affected by it. So fine, at some point I've just got to throw in the towel and go, okay, fine. There's going to be certain points where I've just got to bite my tongue. But ultimately,
Isn't that wizardry?
Go on.
No, never give in, Nathan. Never give in.
Well, I'm only concerned that people are scared.
I want a Corona-free flat Earth debates too.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I was going to just say.
Do we have any globies here?
I was going to say that what they're doing is wizardry because what it is Nathan's correct. The flat Earth is the nature of our Earth and what it is. And what we're standing on not being a sphere is the biggest conversation you could ever have. What the opposition is trying to do, they are trying to create this false effect that no one can verify. And they're trying to pass it off as the biggest thing in the world right now. That's just a lie. It's just an illusion.
Be careful. Stop. You've got to be careful. You're describing a false effect when it's not. When you phrase things such, it can be deemed to an audience member that you're saying the effects of corona are not real. And that simply is not true. I don't doubt for a second that even if there was a over-publicised handful of cases where the doctor's like, well, actually, this person died of bronchitis, and yeah, they had corona, they did test positive, but I don't want to put that on the death certificate. Well, while that might be true in some... Hold on, I've got a point. While that might be true in some cases, it doesn't alter the fact that it is real. Now, some people would say, well, yeah, it is real, and look at the low statistical analysis compared to other diseases. It's like, well, that is kind of a straw man also, given their argument, which in itself is a logical fallacy, and it's an appeal to the future. But ultimately speaking, it is still a straw man to their argument. So you've got to be careful when you start saying that it's fake, because it isn't.
Yes.
And I just want to make myself clear. Like I wasn't saying that either, because like what I was referring to is that a lot of people that are passing away.
I was talking to Elijah.
Are being.
Oh God, mind warped. I was talking to Elijah.
Stop. Yeah.
And heard you, mind warp. Heard that. Yeah, I misspoke. I'm not speaking about the virus itself and what that may be. I'm speaking about the mainstream narrative and the effect that has.
Yeah, How they present the information, absolutely. You've got to carefully pore over it and consider it. And, you know, the public in the States have been made aware that there is an allowance made in their media for propaganda. You know, that was made over a couple of years ago. So, you know, people have got to be cognizant of the fact that there could be, you know, certain narratives being pushed through the media. But where you will get your channel shut down is when you overtly start saying things that are literally not true. I.e., you could say Corona's fake. Well, no, it isn't. No, it's been documented for many, many years. You can trace it back through various medical dictionaries, back through the 80s. It's there in the viruses section.
Correct.
So, no, it's not fake. Now, could you argue legitimately that, well, no, all they've done is started counting the numbers, and the numbers were the same prior to them clocking them all on little ticker counters? That would be a much better argument.
You could also
just want to apologize. My bandwidth is really bad here, so if it does seem like I'm over talking, it probably is just due to my delay. So just sorry in advance, because our internet here in Australia at the moment, or in Perth in general, is just shocking.
But yeah, much agreed, Nathan. Thank you for making that.
A way to easily bypass it is instead of saying Corona is fake, you say the Corona threat is fake. You could do that because technically
that's not true either.
Implied threat forwarded by the mainstream media, that part seems to be fake, and the statistics afterward.
You mean the numbers
from nurses and all that?
We have to just
kind of
package it.
support that.
Just let Alwyn finish.
I wasn't done yet, dude.
Let him finish. Go ahead, Alwyn.
I was just finishing up. It's just, if you call it the Corona threat and not Corona itself as a virus, then you'd be more technically correct, because then you'd imply the threat from the media, the media implied threat of Corona.
Gotcha.
And
so you're saying it's a concise way of saying the word threat is to concisely describe the appeal to the future fallacy that's being used. So threat, yeah, good word, because it implies something that is to happen, future tense. Well, appeal to the future fallacy is the whole point. Well, very concise, Arwen. Yes, exactly correct. Anyway, about that physical geometric Earth curve edge that's been destroyed by the Black Swan. Oh yeah, no, everyone's preoccupied with their own death and mortality. And
can I play devil's advocate on something, Dave?
Hold on, let's just divine your thoughts. Is this about 5G?
No. It's about Jesus. Comet Atlas that was supposedly discovered December 28th, and is going to be coming into view so everyone can see it with their bare eyes, supposedly in the next few weeks. Just what everyone's take is on that, and what your take is on it, Nath, because I know it's going to be brought up, and I don't know.
Exactly a comet?
I don't know
a comet in the sky?
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
In what regards? Do I reify it into a physical rock that might hit us? Absolutely not. Will it be a pretty light in the sky? Probably.
That's what I mean. Like, yeah. So when it's in the sky, like, as from a flat Earth perspective, what's going on there? Like, it's an interesting one.
I've no idea. From a flat Earth perspective, it's a light in the sky that I cannot go to, check, verify. You know, I can't do any of those things. But that applies to all of the lights in the sky. Well, there's obviously some exceptions. There are physical things that you can see going past, like aeroplanes. But beyond that, I mean, those lights are just twinkly lights.
I get my P900 and my P1000 out and take photos of the moon and the stars regularly. And they just stars in particular, they look strange, in my opinion. Yeah. They are just pretty lights in the sky. Because, I mean... Have you seen stars through a P900? You had the P900 there for a while before it went to Arwen.
I had a telescope, so yes, but I would class that as better.
Yeah, it would be better, yeah. But they look almost like, the way I would describe it, it looks like a fertilized egg that's been broken down into and split multiple times, but with, like a watery effect over the top. Don't you reckon it looks like that? It looks like a...
That's a focusing issue with the P900.
No,
so there's a couple of videos out there that show this. So
no. When I get right up there, like it looks bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, that effect is definitely a P900 and P1000 because they're both using the same sensor and focusing system. Well,
but their sensors are terrible, especially in low light.
But in any event, it is definitely a focusing issue. So I only know this because I owned a telescope. So people were putting up videos of various different planets and stars, and they looked wrong, and I had no idea what was going on because they didn't look like that to me in a telescope. And then a few people on the other side of the argument, of course, came along and debunked them and said, no, one of them described like putting a piece of paper in front of it and letting it focus and then taking the paper away and things like that to get it to overcome this glitch, if you will, with the camera equipment. But as I say, there's nothing mechanical about a telescope other than, you know, a slight focusing adjustment that you can make on the lens that you look through. But beyond that, there's very little to it. And I didn't get what was being showed to me back in 2000. I can't remember if it was 2014 or somewhere about then. And I'm like looking at these things going, this makes no sense. And it was all shot through P900s. And then I found out why. And I've not replicated it. I've not seen this done live because I don't know a P900. But I saw the videos and I can only assume they're pretty close to, you know, what you'd see if you had the viewfinder, if not better. And it, like I say, it didn't look like that through a telescope. The best
I have
way to
a
compare,
telescope, and I also had one and it had the mount that you could put the camera onto the islands. But I ended up, I don't have either anymore because what actually happened is I had it set up outside during the day. So I was just, trying to find a few things in the sky that just looked a bit weird. And anyway, like while I sat it there, I went inside and had lunch, and the sun moved across into the into the spot that I was zoomed up on, and I looked out the back door and I could see smoke coming out of the telescope, and it burnt all my internals in the telescope, and it burnt out my camera as well.
Oh no.
So yeah, pretty funny. It was a funny story. So I've got to get a new telescope.
I'll make a recommendation though. So there's a channel called Take Back Space TV, and it's run by a guy called Chris D, and he does live streaming with he's really good at it. He's been doing it for a very long time now with good equipment, so he's upgraded over the years, and he's got a live stream that runs. He plays his own music in the background, and you know, predominantly he's looking at the moon a lot because it's the most interesting thing up there. But he's got really good muscle memory, and he's tracked the ISS going across the sky like in real time. I think he even did it on a live stream. Just goes to show how good he is at this, because anybody who's tried to do that will know that is nigh on impossible. But he's managed it. He's done it. So it's one of those things that Chris D, if someone was, you know, offering bets on whether or not anybody could capture this, I'd say, well, potentially if it's in his night sky, then Chris D could capture that. Not he will, but you know, it's certainly within the realms of possibility because he's that good. So check him out. You know, a lot of
Films
people...
in 4K as well.
Say again?
It's quite good. I just subbed. I just saw it. He films in 4K as well, which is good.
Yeah, he's upgraded over the time. So he started off with a Sony camera, and you know, having the battery pack in it and hooked up to a telescope, it was overheating. You know, because he was running it for a long period of time, and you know, he's figured out the whys and wherefores of doing it in a way that you can stream for a long period without his equipment overheating. Well, you know, the shutter's just basically open permanently, isn't it? Anyway, Take Back Space TV.
Yeah.
Take Back Space TV is the name of the channel. Check him out. Christy. Tell him I said hi.
I've just subbed. The icon's cool.
Ethan?
With 5 minutes left on the show, we might get back to 10th Man's question about why it's so quiet in regards to Globers.
Because they can't defeat the Black Swan.
Yeah.
Got an echo.
I really feel like they're defeated.
You're right, Elijah.
You notice that the word Black Swan was never really used until we had a bit of the economic collapse thing happen, and then all the economists were using the word Black Swan event, and now it's kind of like the go-to word everywhere. I've just noticed everyone's using it.
That's
Which
correct.
is another perfect.
I just want to hear from 10th Man just before.
Universal.
Hold on a second.
Yeah.
There is a whole load of news quotes that are tied into this, but we'll go through them in a minute. Go on, 10th Man.
Yeah, it's the Black Swan event. We saw it coming before the current situation, and now it's the current situation, and now Black Swan's being used for a lot of things, economic and everything else. And I could just imagine a baller getting hit with the black swan about their curvature not being there where it's supposed to be, and then turning on the news and being hit with black swan on their dollar. They're just, they're just overwhelmed.
Do you not think that's keyword manipulation, though?
Yeah,
know where black
but,
swans
I mean,
are native to? My hometown of Perth.
That's
They are our animal. Yeah, they're our coat of arms animal, the black swan.
cool. That's cool. Perth.
And can I have like 30 seconds?
Yeah, go ahead.
So another. Oh,
Hold on. Go ahead. Is that Marcus?
It was Marcus, yeah.
So I was just gonna say, I would like to thank you guys, Nathan, and Kiwi, and all the panel members. You guys opened my eyes into using the scientific method and the going back to the basic, because if something's gonna knock on my door and tell me that I'm positive, I'm gonna really look into the basic, into how did they prove that I'm positive in COVID. I'm just saying.
Absolute pleasure. But in regards to this black swan situation, I'd just like to say that the end is on the horizon, and all we need to do is flatten that curve. With that, I'll say if you are watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
the powers that be decide
Like
to
you had
open
to
up
do
this
that.
term, black swan, that we have been using and can use to also make our argument. Like, it's so beautiful because now it'll be popularized, and it's just there for us to layer, you know?
I honestly think that what's going to happen, this is my personal opinion, you can cut me down if you want, but I think that after this COVID-19 is all over and done with, and everyone's on welfare, they're going to push vaccines, and if you don't take the vaccine, they're going to cut your social security. That's what I reckon is going to happen, to force vaccines. Make people unemployed and dependent on the government with social welfare, so they can push vaccines on people. That's what I think is going to happen.
Okay, let me just address that.
I agree.
So, hold on. So, no, well, yes, that's another ball that's in the air, potentially. So yesterday's show, at the end of the show, I was describing the masterclass advert by Penn and Teller, when he says at the beginning, right at the beginning to camera, he says, this is not juggling, this is misdirection. Now, vaccines, 5G, there's probably a whole load of more things that will come out to keep you all scared. But those are just balls that are potentially in the air. All have a future fallacy attached to make the argument. So, potentially, they might force the vaccines upon us. Now, the bit I got fussed about, which is when I actually...
What do you do here?
Yeah, I was going to say, there's been a rule change, there's a law change here, as of about 3 weeks ago. And there are certain things that could stack up that would leave you in that position in the UK. You know, you could be literally certified
here in Australia,
taken away, chucked in a cell, force injected.
Your child can't go to... Sorry.
That's
you
okay.
Go. Sorry, Nate.
I'm just saying, there are certain things that I do concern myself with. When there's a law change, it's not just some guideline or something that they're recommending you do. And, you know... Or even a law change where they, enact the police to be able to talk to you. I don't care about any of that. Now, certain people will, again, crap their pants at the idea of a policeman coming and talking to them. But that's, another level of fear. And your concerns about vaccines, when we discussed them yesterday with 10th Man, I'm like, at the end of it, it's just another vaccine on a list of vaccines that you're currently in opposition to. But suddenly you've got a heightened level of fear for this particular one that's being pushed on the masses. And the masses will beg for it by the end of this. I already know that will be the case.
But Nathan, the reason I'm like this is because here in Australia, it's already like that, mate. So like here, like if you want your kid to go to kindy or swimming lessons or anything like that, they have to have vaccines, and if they don't, then they can't even go to school. So people that are working and have kids and like professionals that want to work and send their kids to daycare, they literally have to vaccinate their children, otherwise their kids can't go to these places, and then in turn they can't work. And the same will go in, and that's here now before COVID-19. And so now, if you're here in Australia, I actually think that they're going to get to the point where, because so many small businesses are going down, like so many, I think our unemployment is just, I don't know the numbers, but our social security lodgement website keeps crashing because there's just so many people that are lodging. And there's going to be so many people depending on social welfare, where like they flex their muscle to say, oh, once this vaccine's out, I know there are going to be people that rush towards it and get it because they want it, but then there are going to be people like me that don't want to take vaccines. Fortunately, I don't depend on welfare, but like if I had to, I would be kind of screwed because I wouldn't have any means of financial, way of living, because I would have to take this vaccine. It's even more control.
Yeah, well, like I say,
Well,
the aspects of control that have already been initiated here, when I've had them brought to my attention, I've made my opinions about it and my concerns about it as prevalent as I possibly can. Now, obviously, when I was doing that, I had the same fear that will my channel get shut down because I'm expressing my concerns about certain rule changes in this country. Well, I suddenly looked around to myself and thought, well, I'm just discussing actual things, actual events. I'm not making anything up. I'm not lying. I'm not saying anything's fake. I'm just discussing actual events. Now, when people are discussing their perceived reality that they've got through the media, and they don't have anything to back up their perceived reality, no law change, no document that can actually say this is actually how it is, but the media's told them something, I'll rip that to shreds with absolutely no fear whatsoever. And this is, as I say, I'm not saying don't fear whatever it is that concerns you, if that is fluoride, if that's vaccines, if that's general medicine, if that's whatever, I don't care, 5G, mobile communication networks, Wi-Fi, any of these things that people think, well, that could be a health risk to me. Well, look into it, do as much research as possible, but don't go, right, this particular document from this particular YouTuber says back in 1969 they weaponized a certain modulated frequency, therefore 5G will kill you. It's like, you come out with that crap, expect to get shut down because you're talking nonsense.
I agree with you, but what I was meaning is like they're already doing that vaccine thing here even before this COVID-19 thing. So I just think it's going to get even more harsher. That's what I'm meaning.
Why not teach people to? So I heard something along the way, and someone said, "Well, okay, ultimately you have to agree, right? They can't force it on you. So why not put their backs to the wall by saying, sure, I'll agree with this contract so long as you take liability for anything that goes wrong for me and I'm owed $1 billion."
Because it's not, hold on. No. You're not entering into a service with these people. You're not entering into a contract with them if it's mandated by government. So it's only when it's mandated by government that you need to be of a concern, because it's not a contractual obligation that you can step out of and not consent to. If it's mandated, it's mandated. That's where it becomes concerning. So it's not just I don't want to consent to your TV license contract. It's not I don't want to consent to whatever contract that you might have with an insurance company. You do not consent to this contract. It's not like that. When it's a mandated thing, when it becomes a legal issue that potentially you can be punished for. So it's not just I don't consent. Well, we'll just lock you up then. You're breaking the law.
Yeah, I mean, but you've also got to look at it like this. Like, normal government consists of two parties. So if one side wants to bring in a law, the other party tries to pick it to pieces and get it correct and, cross the T's and dot the I's before things get through. But in the current state, especially here in Australia, both parties are on the same track. So, like, all laws at the moment, they're not getting rejected. Every law that's getting put in is going straight through because they're both on the same page. And I just get concerned with that
What does that tell you?
Like, some laws could come into...
So what does that tell you? When, here we have clearly defined lines between who's on whose side because there's a specific subject that we oppose each other on. And when other subjects come up, the line still is there, regardless of whether or not we agree on certain subjects. Well, those battle lines are still being thrashed
Parliament?
out. Oh, I'm nearly there. So, while these battles are being thrashed out between us, for an example, the debate I'm discussing with Mark Taylor in regard specifically to, I think, 5G and Corona. I can't remember, it was a little while back. But my point is that while these subjects get thrashed out, you're saying that the politicians suddenly seem to all align despite all their differences. Well, what does that tell you? Was it the case that they were actually in opposition to each other, although it appears that way prior to that, when they all seem to flow down the same river anyway? Well, now it's slightly more overt. So while there's people out there that are openly saying this particular situation might widen a certain number of people's eyes. It's described again, third shout out on one show, Thrice 8 Hermes. He's describing a ratchet. And the ratchet tightens down, the control increases, and then when the ratchet returns to its original position, the nut hasn't untightened. The measures that are in place by then. Well, they don't suddenly go away. That's what's actually happening and actually happened. But obviously in the meantime we need to focus on the juggling, the balls that are in the air, the potential dangers that befall us. So long as whatever it is we're concerned with, be it the actual situation for the normies, they're just concerned with the situation. In other words, I might die of this, so I'm going to crap my pants and worry about it. Well, we're going, oh, well, we're not too concerned. We've looked at the statistics and we're not too concerned by them. But I'm deeply concerned that 5G might fry my brains. I'm deeply concerned that I might have a vaccination forced upon me. I'm deeply concerned that, next thing on the list, please. Who's in the queue? Next man, tell me what I'm supposed to be terrified of. Next man, roll up. Tell me what I'm supposed to be scared of. Come on. Because obviously I should be scared of something right now, shouldn't I? Now, in terms
you can
of
articulate it better.
Just one more thing. I'm nearly there.
Referencing
just one more thing. One more thing. So in terms of your appeal to what government says you must do to get support from government, well, yeah, that's a choice you have to make. Sacrifices might have to be made if you're saying, no, I've got to homeschool if I'm to preclude my kid from having a vaccination in this country. Well, that is a tough decision. Oh, this is such a tricky conversation to have with you, mate. That's a really tough decision.
That wasn't me talking. That was someone else talking.
It's just the interruptions from whoever.
It wasn't me. It was someone else.
I'm not saying it is. Just need to end my thought. Getting further and further away. Yeah, so I understand that it's a tricky situation and a tough decision that people are going to have to make in your country. You're saying you are outside of that decision on account of the fact that... Right, that's the last time. Who is interrupting me with their fucking mic wide open?
It's open, but it's not me.
Yeah, you might have to make that choice. Again, this was discussed between 10th Man and I a couple of weeks ago, and we both agreed with each other in this regard. Yeah, some people will have to make sacrifices to homeschool their kids. Because they don't
agree.
get
I
the
think
support that they want from their big brother government. And they go, oh, but I won't get this from you if you take away this. Yeah, there are certain times you have to stick on the straw man coat and accept that you're a part of a society, you're in the matrix, whatever bloody analogy you like. When you go and register a car, unless you want it taken away from you, you've got to put on that straw man and get back into the societal motions of going to the DMV or the DVLA or whatever it is in your country, and you register your stupid car and you give government their permissions and you sign it over to them and you go and pay for the stupid insurance, and then after you've done all that horrible, horrendous shit, you take off the straw man coat and get back to reality. Outside of the stupid metrics and the stupid networks and the stupid things that sometimes you have to associate with if you want to have that particular part of society. In this case, my example, a car. Well, in your case, you're saying, well, I have to, I don't want to make these sacrifices, but I still want that part that Big Brother gives me, in this case, school. Me, I've got a totally different opinion. I don't want them anywhere near a school. But, you're saying I want one thing but not the other, and it's like, well, that's where sacrifices are made.
No, I wasn't saying me specifically. I was just saying there are people that this is going to affect. Like,
I know, I get it.
Otherwise, usually wouldn't. Yeah,
I get it. I know you said you sit outside of this particular example. I get it, and you're expressing your concerns for other people who might be in that situation. Well, that is really only going to affect you on account of the fact that if you were to go and tell them, well, you know, let's say for the sake of argument, you are of the ilk that goes out and evangelizes about how vaccines are bad for whatever reason, and suddenly it stands in your way because if you tell somebody in your country that and they go, well, I'm not taking my kid out of school, well, you know, don't evangelize about this. That's my opinion. That's my attitude.
I kind of think everything that's happening is kind of good because it's like waking everyone up to like all the crap that actually does go on. Like people are waking up, and maybe it's going to help our cause because they're going to see how screwed up our government is, how it's all just really the one thing, and you know how everything is. Like we already all know that, and you know, you Nathan, me, you articulated it a lot better than I did, but you basically said what I wanted to say, but I just didn't say it properly.
Can I point out the fact that, you know, as we were having this conversation, I've tried to put it back on a positive note or an informative note about flat Earth. And it's just like, no matter what I've said or Nathan has said, to put a pin on it, you put this nice little note of, it just keeps us coming back to this conversation. Can we do something else?
It's engineered that way, Elijah. Like I say, Arwin backed me up earlier. I tried, man. I tried to keep people away. But what are you going to do? It's literally permeated through the veins of every man, woman and child in the Western world. So what can you do?
Most of us, though, like all of us here, we question everything. Like that's just what we are. We're all people that have a brain. Like we question everything. We question what we live on. Like we question everything. So it's completely relative. It segues into that perfectly, in my opinion, anyway. Like, you know, yeah, we talk about flat Earth. Like, yeah, that's awesome. And I love that topic. But I also think it's part of this. The two are aligned. In my opinion, I think they're completely relative.
Fair enough.
Having said that, I'm more than happy to talk about flat Earth. I've been gone for a while, so I'm probably just talking too much. So tell me to shut up.
Nothing wrong with what you're saying.
Dinosaurs are coming back.
Go on, Neil.
I said I heard dinosaurs are coming back. We got to be afraid of that next.
That's the second time someone said that. Is that just a joke?
Yeah, it's a joke.
Okay.
I know that they were trying to, because up in Siberia there are like perfectly frozen mammoths, like almost like they're flash frozen from some weather event years ago. It's like it's almost like something pummeled them through. Like they're kind of mixed in with all these pine trees that have just been splintered. So it's almost like a tsunami or something wiped through, and then a cold event happened that flash froze everything. It's in Siberia. That it's really interesting, and they reckon that these mammoths are so perfectly preserved that they could possibly get the DNA out of it and put it in an elephant. So I don't know about dinosaurs, but maybe they could bring a mammoth back. But it wouldn't be a mammoth. It would be like a mammoth elephant.
It's called Jurassic Park. I seen the movie. I don't want to be afraid of nothing else, please.
I don't know. I still kind of only back up behind this whole thing.
I think mammoths are still around.
Organic matter is frozen.
Hold on, Arwin. Hold on, Arwin. Hold on, everybody. Hold on.
Get it back.
Let me just welcome a couple of new guests. Hello, Brian.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everybody.
Hello, Quantum Eraser.
Good morning.
Let chaos commence.
The guy that was talking about the dinosaurs coming back. So pretty much like most like organic like things like us and animals, once it's frozen, it's hard to actually, once you unfreeze it, to get like DNA and all that kind of stuff out. It's the only animal that can do it. It's frogs. There's actually these frogs that freeze, and there's actually videos on YouTube you can see this. Like they freeze over during winter. They completely freeze, and in a sense they're dead. But when they start thawing, if they start thawing from the head down, their mind and their eyes start blinking, but the rest of their body is still frozen. It's really quite remarkable. They're the only animal or living organic thing that can actually do that. So if we were frozen, you wouldn't be able to revive us because our matter just kind of breaks down.
Tell that to Walt Disney.
Oh God, you're talking about cryogenics. Yes, cryogenics is a thing. They developed it. You can counteract the demolition that naturally happens when freezing over. I don't know the fine of it, but I know it's out there, and there's been people crazy enough to do that. Apparently.
Can I make a movie recommendation?
Really? I didn't know that.
Make a movie recommendation. Go and watch Demolition Man again.
Demolition Man?
Yeah, Demolition Man.
I knew you were going to say Demolition Man. I literally only just watched that last week. It's such a good movie.
A great movie.
Wesley Snipes.
And a few things, I won't take credit for this because it was John LeBon that pointed this out. So there's a point in the movie where they do a little high five type thing, but they actually don't touch each other's hands. And isn't it a weird coincidence that currently we're not allowed to touch each other's hands? Also, all of the safety equipment in the cars, that's all coming to fruition. Loads of stuff in Demolition Man.
3 seashells.
Yeah, the seashells
They
and the
don't use
toilet paper.
the
paper anymore.
He doesn't know how to use the 3 seashells. He's from the 20th century.
Yeah, exactly right. Just weird coincidences. Well worth a watch right now. So if you're being plagued with propaganda about outbreaks and all this stuff, go and watch Demolition Man instead. Much more fun.
The other guy that comes from down below, he's great. He's a good comedian too. I forgot his name though. Chris Leary, something Leary. Dennis Leary, that's it.
Dennis.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of frogs you're
confident.
talking about, but the frogs we know here croak every night.
Yeah, if you get croaking, it could be a thing called a.
No, you missed the pun, man.
Groper. Oh, did I? Sorry. Yeah, I'm too serious. There's things here called sand gropers, and they sound like frogs, but they're just like little insects. It's called sand gropers.
So did you like my round out to the live show? This black swan situation will have an end. It's definitely on the horizon. We all just need to flatten the curve.
I actually like what you said when Huey and Brian came on. Let the chaos commence.
Yeah, just audio chaos is all I meant. I see that could have.
I
been
know what you
inferred
meant. I know what you meant. It was funny.
I can only assume that the people who generally challenge us are maybe caught up in the normie fear porn, and maybe they're hunkered down, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I hear. They're very scared about this, and they're probably sitting on Discord wearing masks.
No, I think the Black Swan with the motor stolens that QE put out was so devastating that they just, with all the time in the world now, if they had a win, they'd be jumping on and shouting victory left and right. Now we got George Hettenuke, or whatever his last name is, wanting to debate you as if he's got any claim. What a joke. They're bored. They're bored because they lost.
Yeah.
What was that?
They've run out of breath. They've run out of breath. We slapped it all out of them. Now they're like, got nothing more.
Except when you do it, Arwen.
Say that one more time, Tent.
Yeah.
I think Emma posted something about George Nathan wanting to finally come on the show and debate Nathan. I found that pretty funny since he's lost so many times before.
Right. Head back to episodes, I think it was 4 in the 400s, 330 to 430. You friggin' closed thermos is an open system knuckle dragger. Yeah, go back there. We already went over that real estate. Like a bozo.
Ethan, I just sent you a message in Skype if you want to take a look.
Ballers come out to play, eh?
What's up, Neil?
George Netjuk, he actually completely disproved all Coriolis effect himself on Ranties. Going back a good long time ago now, a good few months ago, I gave him they were always talking about having it only happens with flights going north to south. This is what a lot of them say. And I said, London to Lagos, the distance, the flight times, all this kind of stuff, it's impossible. And because I got an average flight speed, or let's say average airspeed for that type of airliner, or for airliners of that size, George decided to critique the hell out of it. And so he brought down the actual average speed and the distance so much. He put it all so finely, he put the whole lot into such a fine point that there was no room for any Coriolis. It was an absolute joke. People were laughing at him because it made it impossible for Coriolis to happen, as Coriolis would mean that he'd have to take that into the flight, the fact that the times and the speed would have to account for the movement of the Earth. So he literally debunked it himself on Ranties one night.
He debunks himself every time he opens his mouth.
I like how they try to assert that you would only see Coriolis because they're moving north or south, forgetting that the cause of the supposed Coriolis fall, or the Coriolis effect, was that they left the damn ground. So how would that
I have
not
a really
affect
good
going east and west?
idea of how to prove Coriolis. If I
Well,
can
the
just jump in
problem
real
for
quick.
them is
There
that
is no
their
Coriolis.
arguments have gotten
They would
Or
have to
disprove it,
demonstrate
sorry.
diluted,
So
and
I meant to
have
disprove it.
gotten much more
Oh,
concise.
okay.
That's
No,
the
there is no Coriolis
with
effect
them.
with respect to the Earth. Get it right. Be specific.
Can just jump in quickly. Just jump in 2 secs. So, as you guys know, like I've got drones, right? So I've got the DJIs, but when I fly it up, say if I let it hover there, it doesn't move. But then what I want to do, because I'm not sure if it's still triangulating with GPS and things like that. Well, I don't think it is. I think it's because there's no such thing as Coriolis. But what I'm going to do is actually I want to build my own, because I do Arduino programming, is get a Arduino kit and build my own drone with no GPS, nothing. It just controlled like off my phone, and so it cannot have any GPS coordinates put into it to tell it where to go or where it, so, and basically then I can just fly it up and let it hover there, and if it doesn't move, if I don't move away from that thing, then there's no such thing as Coriolis. I reckon that's a pretty good experiment. What do you reckon?
Well, I reckon that Zanuck is going to tell you that the atmosphere is moving with the Earth. So,
But there is
absolutely.
Coriolis.
So
Hold on,
no
hold on.
Coriolis then?
Hold on. Yeah, absolutely perfect. Yes. Well, almost perfect. There is no Earth-based Coriolis. Coriolis effect is
Right.
real. There's none on Earth because Earth isn't spinning. And if your drone isn't going to have this crap rebuttal that GPS kept it tracking along with the Earth that span underneath it, so it didn't spin underneath it because GPS was correcting for that. Yeah. Like a drone on the.
And that's what I was trying to debunk. Yeah.
Well, yeah, like as if
call it Coriolis displacement then. Because Coriolis effect does exist. It's an effect. It's just not happening. So there's no displacement caused by.
Yeah, I know. But see, like when I try and do it with my drones, people are like, oh yeah, but it's been moving with the GPS and blah blah blah. So I just thought that might be a good way of actually just debunking that. But if not, all good. Is this a thought?
Yeah, I didn't state when I was saying what I was saying about George Netjuk that it was Earth-based Coriolis he was debunking, not Coriolis. So I should have said that.
They also throw the conservation of momentum story at you.
Has he even demonstrated that he understands Coriolis yet, George?
I don't think he does.
No, never. And was the primary behind getting Brian Mullen out of the community because of his lack of understanding. George, the space get, his lack of understanding of simple Coriolis effect. It's very simple. Yeah. It's about 100 boneheaded friggin' things that came out of that knucklehead's mouth. Probably more than 100. Over.
You say like the two. Okay, so there's no Earth base, but then there's atmospheric Coriolis or whatever. Like, and so my drone, either way, even if it wasn't doing GPS, wouldn't work. But what if I just hovered it like literally like 2 inches off the ground and it didn't move?
Yeah, that's correct.
Like, you know,
anything that's not attached. So, just for a quick comparison, to have Coriolis effect, you go to a playground with your drone and find yourself a roundabout, and you sit the drone on the roundabout. But before you do, you put a little X below the drone, a little piece of tape, yeah, and you spin the roundabout and you launch the drone while the roundabout's in motion. Now, as soon as it, of course, I'm talking, so some asshole with their mic open's got to rumpus me with background noise.
Neil Costantino.
Not even move it.
I don't care if your mic's
It was your mic that lit up.
Anyway, while the actual point gets further and further away from any consistency whatsoever, I'll start again. For the love of Jesus Christ, can you please mute if you're not talking? I'll try again. You put a drone on a roundabout with a little mark on the roundabout. You spin the roundabout and launch the drone. Once it leaves the roundabout, the drone just hovers in midair and the roundabout spins underneath it. Now, if this effect of being on the roundabout, you now as an individual with eyes on the roundabout, looking at the drone that's just hovering above it, but the roundabout seems to go towards you and then come away from you, go towards you, come away from you, because you're spinning underneath it. Now, it is just hovering, but because you're moving underneath, you see this apparent deflection. It seems to come towards you and it seems to fly away because you're spinning underneath. Now, if that effect, that apparent deviation, is true on a roundabout, because that is Coriolis effect, and that's translatable to a spinning Earth, then all you need to do is launch a drone off the Earth. And the moment you do, it has, like with the roundabout, left a spinning reference frame. And when it does, you'll watch it seem to drift away from you. Now, it isn't really drifting away from you, it's just hovering. But the ground you're standing on is claimed to be moving underneath it. That's what gives you Coriolis effect. So for there to be a Coriolis effect on Earth, you would launch a drone, and on the equator, you'd drift away from it at 1,000 miles an hour. Obviously, this does not happen, because the Earth isn't rotating underneath anything. But you can definitely demonstrate a Coriolis effect, launch something off a spinning, rotating platform like a roundabout, and watch it seem to come towards you, come back, seem to come away from you, come back, while it in reality is just in midair hovering. But because you're rotating underneath on a roundabout, it seems to deviate. And on Earth, because you're claimed to be on a spinning Earth, you'd launch a drone and it would seem to drift away from you. Obviously, it's just hovering in midair and the ground's rotating underneath. Now, if that was the case, a drone isn't needed. Flight times would be massively reduced when travelling west, because the Earth's moving underneath those flights. Flight times aren't reduced because nothing's moving underneath any plane ever, or any drone ever, or any ball, or you if you jump up and down. Nothing's rotating underneath when you leave Earth, when you leave the ground. So yeah, 2 centimetres above the ground with a drone, you should see it drifting. Because there's claimed to be a Coriolis effect on Earth because Earth rotates underneath. That's what Coriolis effect is. Now, as soon as you get that very concise explanation of Coriolis, they will convolute it with 2 different things. One, Earth that doesn't spin underneath, a non-Coriolis effect, no deviation, a la Simon Dan with a tractor pulling a trampoline, and a man bouncing up and down and not drifting, not deviating, returning to the mark underneath on the trampoline. If you put an X on that trampoline, he's hitting the X each time. Whereas with Coriolis effect, when you launched your drone, the X span underneath it. It deviated from that position that was marked. So they'll argue about there being no deviation. In other words, a lack of Coriolis effect as a defence. Well, we wouldn't see the planes with Earth spinning underneath. You're like, well, how can you start an argument that's for Coriolis by declaring that you won't have the effect because you haven't got the Earth spinning underneath? They claim Earth and atmosphere travel as one. So that's their first defence. Say that you've only got one reference frame. Their second defence is to convolute the rotating frame of reference with something we actually observe. So in the example with the roundabout, the rotating frame of reference is the roundabout itself. And the effect observed is you still sat on the roundabout as it rotates. Well, they will confuse and convolute that rotating non-inertial reference frame, in this example a roundabout, with something like a hurricane, which has an actual rotation direction. So in your drone example, the drone leaves the roundabout, it's stationary. In its general position, it's not moving left or right or up and down, it's just hovering. But the roundabout spins underneath. That's the thing with the spin direction. Where you're sat observing the drone from spins under the drone. So the drone hasn't got any movement. It's appearing to deviate because you're spinning underneath it. That's Coriolis. So when you see something in the sky, not a drone in this example, but a hurricane that's actually spinning, unlike the drone, your drone wasn't spinning above the roundabout, to give you Coriolis example. You were spinning underneath it. But they talk about hurricanes like they've somehow got something to do with a Coriolis effect that's observed from the spinning frame of reference. So in their example, when they use hurricanes, unless you're actually being swept up in the bloody hurricane, observing something on the ground that seems to deviate, but it's stationary, and you're moving in a sodding hurricane, there's no way the spinning reference frame of a hurricane's ever going to be useful for demonstrating Coriolis effect. Because you're never going to be in that position in a hurricane, spinning around and around and around in the air, observing something actually stationary seeming to move. It's preposterous. But by convoluting the two, you could easily confuse an audience member and easily bamboozle your opponent. Because most of the time, the people arguing against this on our side don't know what Coriolis effect is either. So they're like, well, what is Coriolis effect exactly? It's like, yeah, you need something to be spinning and then leave it or be in the air, and you observe it seeming to drift when it's going straight. Well, a hurricane doesn't conform to that. It's actually travelling in a circle. So you seeming to see it travel in a circle from the ground that's spinning, that would be Coriolis effect. But then you end up with someone like Kosho saying, yeah, that's right, because that's what Coriolis effect is. Therefore, the wind's travelling in a straight line. Because their double speak make no sense. They don't have an Earth that spins underneath anything. Earth isn't spinning.
Then when you get your ass handed to you, Georgie Tatanka, he then says that third thing, whether it be a drone, bullet, is the third reference frame. And says, yeah, it's the third reference frame. It's going through the atmosphere. Is it in the atmosphere? Yeah, that's the second reference frame. No, that's the third reference frame. And you forgot that the Earth is spinning underneath the roundabout. I mean,
wow.
Carnival tent bozos.
He said that.
Hold on, there is something to add to that. There's a method in their madness. The whole point of this, even though it can be unpicked and understood, and is actually relatively simple when you get down to the bare bones of one rotating reference frame and one non-rotating reference frame, the simplistic nature of Coriolis isn't actually that complicated. It is if you wiki search it, though. You'll come across a lot of nonsense about what Earth's supposed to be doing. That being said, the whole point of this convolution is every step of the process for a globetard will be to beg the question that Earth is spinning at some point in their examples. So with the third reference frame, oh, well, it's Earth spinning underneath, because every point in the argument just has to have the affirmation that Earth's definitely spinning. Doesn't matter if they're arguing that you won't see deviation, because Earth is spinning with the atmosphere, or you've got a roundabout with a ball being thrown, and that's two reference frames, plus the Earth spinning, because we've got to beg that question, or a declaration that we don't see any deviation ever. Like we wouldn't see any deviation on Earth. That's spinning! Well, that's not Coriolis effect. But all of them can be picked apart. They all just take the same route, which is to at nausea beg the question that Earth's always spinning in every bloody example, regardless of what's being argued for. Coriolis effect, no Coriolis effect, things moving with the Earth, things not moving with the Earth. So long as they're always barking on about it bloody spinning, no matter what the example, then they're happy. Because all the audience hears is lots of times that they say, well, because Earth's spinning. Well, the third reference, because that's a spinning reference frame, Earth that is. As long as they say that a million times during the confusing bullshit, people at the end of it will be confused about what Coriolis even is, but have been told 20 or 30 times that Earth's spinning. It isn't. Or you'd have a Coriolis effect.
Spinning first.
Yeah, you got it. You hit it straight on the head, the nail, that is.
And another thing.
And the next time you guys want to assert that a hurricane is created by the Coriolis effect, you might not want to use a citation that defines the Coriolis effect as an illusion. Because then you're going to have to explain how an illusion created an actual storm. Thank you.
Yeah, but Chocolate, they don't really have to deal with the really is level. Come on.
Yeah, I know
That's
they don't,
okay.
but we do.
The stupidest one for me, you got grown adults telling you that the atmosphere, which is made of gas, has no intermolecular bonds with itself or anything else, is traveling along with the Earth. That has to be the gosh darn it stupidest thing I've ever heard. East, north, and south surface winds, you bozos. Right?
But
this proves your nonsense, even if you don't know what gas behavior is, and you don't. You don't even know what gases are. Clowns. This is a clown show. Carnival tent. One each.
But John, wind is a definition?
Oh my God.
Sorry. And when did it become food?
That was
Who
brilliant.
defined the definition of the definition?
The following line that you deliver after that is one of my favourite ever. Because you're talking about Bob the fallacy guy, and you're like, you just went along with the shroom-induced coma non sequitur, didn't you?
When the pencil hit the ground, it became food.
So nuts. He's tried to process it, and they're so used to scratching each other's backs that even when it makes no sense, they'll go along with each other's complete and utter nonsense.
Smarter than me.
That was bad. So bad.
And it was exactly all wrapped up in a conversation. All wrapped up
off. The fist appearing out of nothing.
The fist disappearing out of nothing, followed by a declaration of how smart she is.
Hang on, QE. The fist is at least a knuckle sandwich.
Oh. But to have that
I like my
nonsense
joke
conversation all wrapped up in them scratching each other's backs, tapping each other on the backs, and telling each other how wonderful they both are, and talking about what a high degree of education you'd have to be involved in this nonsensical conversation.
You heard Brenda though, it was almost like she was getting an award. She's like, I don't have a degree or anything, but I try my best.
I want to thank the Discord servers. I want to thank everybody on YouTube.
That's what it sounded like.
Wow. Save the world.
Did you hear the latest Sly interview?
Oh, no. Oh, have we got enough time?
This was good.
Tell me about Sly.
Tell you about Sly. Send it to you.
I'll have to have a listen. Okay, it can't be summarized in the next couple of minutes.
Nah, you gotta play it.
You've just you can't have the end of my show being a plug for bloody Sly.
It won't be a good plug, I'll tell you that.
No, we'll pummel it later.
It's bad, dude. It's oh goodness.
Did he come up with a hypothesis?
Please give us something.
Did he come up with a hypothesis?
No, they weren't talking about hypotheses. You gotta listen to it, man. I can't. It's hard to describe. It's about 8 minutes.
I can't believe it. I'm going to have to leave the end of this Uncut and After show on a plug for Sly. With that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did tune in on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Another massive thank you to today's Discord and G Plus panels for making this after show possible. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!